Oh, Scott from Wessex, please. Welcome to my sort of episode 4. Nearest thing I could come up with a title was a glue hope. Now I've been making, I suppose, 5 years, 4 or 5 years on and off. Maybe no one is aware of it. But I always try and put some hidden something in a knife or a sheath when it's finished and it goes out. It could be, it might have cut me, so there might be a hidden meaning in terms of injury or something that within the construction of the knife or the sheath. I think it's the Taj Mahal has an inbuilt imperfection, and that's the 4 minarets around the central sort of mausoleum temple-y thing in the middle. They lean out 1 or 2 degrees because nothing's perfect, only God. They didn't purposely make it perfect because it'd be trying to achieve perfection or something. So it's imperfect. But the benefit of them leaning out was if there was an earthquake, they'd probably fall away from damaging. And then something is benefiting the reason that there was an imperfection within it. Now, if I go to this one here, this isn't going to unlock every single thing I ever make. But what that means is when you get something from me, there's a clue in there. Alright, there's a clue in there. I don't make everything the same. Okay, there are no clones. There ain't none. Alright, everything's slightly different. Now, if you noticed I take the triple fret out, the stitches that go up the side, across the top and back down. Alright, 2 or 3 stitches back down the other way is plenty. That's good. That's going to do the job of what going up, across, and the return is going to be more than enough. Okay, if I said there was 8 stitches across there, it's for Ralph Bear. Okay, there's some hidden meaning in this sheath. Okay, so there's 8 stitches there. See where I'm going? Right. This one is for Dusty Pilgrim. Dustypilgrim. Dusty Pilgrim. Okay, there's something extra in there. These blades happen to be collaboration blades. Okay, this knife was donated in order to help me out from MMA Custom Knives. Okay, this blank was given to me by Dirty Room, Big Dell. Okay, this vague inscription there, if you were looking at the British Isles, I'm sort of the bottom left hand corner, sort of, Somerset, Devon, Cornwall. I'm in that corner, so that is my region. If this all the way around here was the British Isles, and things are coming into me, alright, so hence a hidden cryptic meaning as to that pattern I've put on there. It's something I'm allowing myself to do because I'm not doing everything exactly the same every time. One consequence of the way that I work is I'm not working very fast. I've always got too much on to commit hours at a time out in the garage. I could do like an hour and a half, then I'll have to dap in and maybe do the dishwasher, and I'll come back out and do an hour and a half and I'll dap in and do the dinner. Now the dishwasher's might be finished, and then I might get a wash on the washing machine. All this time Jackie's doing her application forms, or whether she was got a job in school, she'll be marking books. That's how I have to work. Okay, I do not stop all day. Every minute has to be doing something, whether it's catching up with YouTube, or making stuff, or making videos, or stuff around the house. What that results in is I've got very little momentum in terms of creating tasks that are uniform every single time, because I approach it different. Kind of, right, just got my mind off of that and I'm coming on to this. I'm not really getting lost in production techniques that are the same every single time, because I come in, I've got to try and achieve something, just make it. And so every now and again I get a different view on it. So if you have a look at this one here, this is for Who's Your Archer. I've got the main stitch going down there. It's sort of sculpted and allows it to move, and the ferro rod tube is off to the side, okay, and it's all sort of swoopy and organic sort of look to it, because I can't approach each one every time and make 4 up of this and 4 up of that, because I'm not making 4 of this and 4 of that. This one the belt loop was big enough, and I managed to put a Wessex blade whacker on the top of there. Okay, everything I do is slightly different from the one before, because it's very difficult to try and get, as I say, in the flow of making things over and over and over again. What it does actually allow me to do is things do evolve. Okay, and even to this task here of making this sheath for this Doberman, I won't be able to do it on this one because it's too small a sheath for what I was doing, plus the knife is not big enough to warrant what I'm thinking, and that is this. When that folds over there like that, and the ferro rod tube, which is around here somewhere, there he is, ferro rod tube fits in there, you get that sort of effect. Okay, so it's sort of squished in the sandwich of the lever, stitched in, and the lever will go along and bump up, stitch in, bump down again. It's fine for a little sheath like that. It's perfectly it's you know, it's the right sort of task to do. It's perfectly strong and all the rest of it. But what I was thinking was, by the time I do the next task, which for me on my job is putting one of these Wessex blades medallion doofers on, what they end up happening to them is they'll get put on there. But the problem is I've got to glue it all up first, because I don't know quite where the center will end up. Okay, now I can actually guesstimate that it's going to be there. Okay, so I could put that on now, because I do need to stitch it before I've molded it, and certainly before I've glued it. But what if another layer of leather went over the top of the entire sheath, cut out, I don't know, an ellipse shape around there, and ended up with 2 layers of leather around most of the sheath, but this section here was slightly cut out to allow the ferro rod sleeve tube to fit in, so it would fit in a little bit of a cutout, so it wouldn't bump up quite so much. So I'll approach that on another sheath in the future. I'll sort of like the Wessex well, as I may have mentioned. But you know, because I'm not set in a rut, okay, a bit like the old canon in Star Wars where they come in and they can't get out. I found that a lot of the time if I was in the band and the guitarist came up with a tune. Okay, the guitarist came up with a tune. Well, it would have its own rhythm, and the foundation was built from the guitar. it was far easier for me if the song started with drums and bass. So I would come up with right, okay. The drum could feel how the energy would be from what I'm playing. And then the guitar, which is a far more expressive instrument, can then just soar off and do whatever he wants. When it's written guitar first, it feels bass-wise like I'm stuck in a canyon. I can't get out because he's already put the flavour, he's put the mood of the song in, and now I've got to try and fit something into it. It was far more had far more potential for me as a bass player if I came up with a bass riff and then the drummer would come up with something, because you could feel it, and that would lead on to some. Then the guitar can put anything he wants over the top, because I'd already, the guitar's got, you got vibrato, you got effects pedals, you've got bar chords, you've got solo leads, you've got bends, you've got so much more expression in a guitar. He's got more potential to be able to put something on top of what someone else has come up with. When it comes to doing things like this, because I'm not generally doing 4 blades exactly the same, so I do 4 sheaths exactly the same, and I do 4 ferro rods exactly the same, I could end up stuck in a rut. But because I do something different every single time, I'm not constrained left, right, up, down, front, back by the design of what I'm doing, and it does allow me occasionally to just disappear off into the blue and come up with a different way of doing it. This was just one of them things I just come up with. It takes a hell of a long time to just stick it and glue it and do all the holes on the back and then drill it and then stitch it. But it's just another little thing of me. Understand? Within each sheath, there's an expression from me. So that's the sort of a little bit of a feeling for how I'm doing what I do, the way I do it. But it's also a little insight into, there's something extra on top of that in most of what I do. If you can get your mind channeled into my frame of mind and my sort of like approach and psyche, there's actually more in it than you think there is. Okay, so the next stage is to wet mould this in the hope that I'm going to end up with a nice section in the middle of that there, where I can glue on my medallion so it looks neat and tidy. So I'm trying to encourage the wet leather to take on the contours of the knife, work out how far in it's going to be in order for this bump here to retain on the neck of the sheath as it's going in, work out how far up to cling film it so that the blade and the handle don't get wet, and as I say, I'm ending up trying to create a nice section there where I can predict where I'm going to stick that, because when it goes hard again, when it dries out, I want to end up with a shape that, so when I know I'm going to put that, time I might trim something down, that medallion, I hope, is glued in the right spot. Right, so I'll get cellophane in this a minute, put cling film on, and it's going to be quite, I'm sort of looking about there, so I might as well cling film the whole lot. It's quite a short, stumpy little blade. I don't want a great tent sort of effect here. I actually want it. Watch your fingers, because you can still cut yourself through the cellophane. So get that down in there like. And notice how I got very little ended up on there. If you had that right in the middle of the blade, more gets wrapped up, and you end up the blade turning and churning, so you end up with a huge great knot which you've got to cut off. But after a while you get used to committing less polythene to this top end here. You do want to curl it a fair amount because you don't want the water ingressing in, but that there now is sort of moulded around there. So now I'm going to soak this in the outside tap, I suppose about a minute. Some people I've seen stick it in a tray until the bubbles stop, but I've never really noticed any more than a good minute in water is plenty. So I'll come back in a minute and get wet moulded on the lever. So, blade cling filmed, sheath wet, malleable. So I'm trying to keep it sort of registered happily inside there. Plenty of room at the bottom, so the blade, okay, is nowhere near the end of there, so I can know if I trim 5mm I've still got plenty of lever. Getting those neat and tidy there, those corners. Folding it down. And now it's a case of allowing yourself water and you want to put it down. So, come back in a bit when I've encouraged this to conform to the shape of the knife inside. Okay, I suppose 2 or 3 minutes of that. And now trying to pick conducive pieces of leather, and I want to soften those ends up a bit because I don't want to mark my leather too much. Okay, so that's softened up that piece there. It's still, they're still sort of registered up quite neat and tidy. Actually want that a little bit deeper over there. Yeah, that'll do. So no point putting stiff as cardboard leather on, is there? And lots of these. Okay, so now that there's clamped up, try not to leave it somewhere where it's going to rest and bear, where these are going to end up putting a contortion on it. So something like that might be better. because these clamps here are quite high, and if you left it on the bench sort of like this, you have the high red ones and it'll end up doing this to the lever. So that like that will sit and dry until the stage after, which is, we'll see, part 5 I'm guessing. Yeah, part 5. Let's join again. It's got from Wessex blades.